my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. And I hope it's a beautiful day where you are, because it is a beautiful day here. It's in the mid-50s right now. And sun shining, well, at least partially shining. Did you see the Itchy Boots video for today? And get your itchy boots fix. I thought it was quite comical that, you know, they can't communicate very well, but when she gets to this checkpoint, she's expecting to show her ID and all that stuff, and nope, that's not what they wanted. They wanted her to take a mandatory 20-minute rest. I thought that was pretty funny. So, you know, she had to get on the phone with Bing and have Bing interpret for her. And anyway, it turned out that that's all they wanted. They just wanted her to stop and rest for 20 minutes. It was the scenery she drove through today was really beautiful. That green plateau, I guess you'd say, up in the mountains. And then she's out in the middle of nowhere. Like you just see one little yurt here or there. And then for just miles, it looks like. And then all of a sudden she just pops into a great big town, you know, like there's dirt roads and everything. It's just amazing to me how that all works like that over there. I made some finds with my metal detector yesterday, but I'm going to save those to the very last. Right now, I've just got a little short video just to give you the status of that great big old oak tree out there. Helicopter flying over, but look at all the buzzards flying around. There's 3 big buzzards flying overhead. There was a buzzard sitting in a tree right up there this morning, so I'm wondering if there's something. Yeah, there probably is something dead. I just saw something fly up off the ground over there. More than likely, something has deceased. Probably an armadillo, and probably the dog killed it. That's my best guess, because he gets a lot of those, and that's just fine with me. I don't like armadillos. They shouldn't be up here, but they are. I just thought I would show you what the remains of this tree look like. This is that great big tree that was up here, and it's huge. I've got this one little piece right here that needs to be split yet. And here's the base of it, very big tree. I'm gonna say that that's 12 to 14 feet long there. I haven't measured it, but that's all there is that remains of the tree, other than the little bit that is back there yet to be burned at the wood furnace, and I'll show you how much there is of that. I mean, it's pretty amazing that we burned a whole giant tree like that in just a couple of weeks. It really hasn't lasted very long. Here's a piece of firewood. Might as well throw that in the furnace. You know, there's no reason why not. Anything that's wood and it'll burn, it heats my house. And I'm good with that. Some of you probably don't know there's a pond right there. Someone else built that pond, but it never has held water. I'm gonna take it as a project one of these days, and I'm gonna go up there and get all those trees out of the pond, and I'm gonna figure out a way to make that thing hold water. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. That might be a project on the list for this year. You just never know. I take notions to do stuff, and when the notion finally hits, I get it done. But sometimes they're just on the back of my priority list in my mind. This pile of wood here, still a fairly good sized pile of wood, don't get me wrong. But if the temperatures hadn't warmed up, it'd already be gone. But over the last several days, the temperatures have warmed up, and that's really helping. I'm only having to feed the furnace twice a day now, rather than 3 or 4 or even 5 times a day. So twice a day is not too bad, but morning and evening, that's not too bad. But when you have to come out about every 4 or 5 hours and do it, it gets to be kind of a pain. But that's all there is left of that big old tree. What you saw back there on the log and this thing here. Of course, that log is a lot of wood yet. There's a lot of wood there. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand. There's a ton of wood. But that was a huge tree in terms of the top and everything. And just to burn the top out of it, you know, in 2 weeks, and plus as much of the log as I had, you know, the trunk, I burned, I don't know, 6 or so pieces of the trunk already. And so, or this is the remains of that. Anyway, I'm just rambling, but there you go. That's firewood. That's my situation, and it's beautiful day out here today. It's already probably in the 50s, maybe even low 60s.
Well, no, it's not low 60s, it's just the 50s. Another bit of trivia that some of you that have been around a while will probably remember or know is if you notice that rock wall, and then, you know, then it changed to that block wall, and the block wall is about 100 and some feet long. The rock wall is probably 40 feet long. So it's really a big wall. Well, I built that whole wall out of rock first, out of those big boulders. And I had it up, and it was beautiful, just looked wonderful. And it stayed up for about 2 weeks. Then we had a 7-inch rain, and it fell in just a couple hours. I mean, it was the heaviest rain I ever saw. And all at once, that whole hillside comes sliding down, and it just buried all my rock from the point that you see there. It buried the rock completely over with mud, just a giant mudslide. So then I had to dig all that out and get rid of all the boulders, and then, you know, completely rebuild the whole wall with, this time I used block, because that block interlocks and it has ways to lock it back where it shouldn't fall over. But anyway, that's been holding now for quite a while. I would say about 15 years almost. Not quite that long. 12 years for sure. But anyway, that was just a whole lot of fun. I just thought you might get a kick out of knowing that. Here's what my project was for this morning, and I am going to make a full video and put a full video out on this. This is just kind of the overview of the project.
Well, my vlog viewers, I've decided to just show you these completed. I'm going to put a little video out later today, probably a 20-minute video or 15-minute video on how I made these. And what are they? Well, they're either hawk houses or squirrel houses or owl houses. And, you know, I saved those pieces of firewood while I was cutting firewood. I don't normally cut a hollow tree down, but these were probably storm damaged trees and they were laying on the ground. Well, when I cut them up, I saw they were hollow. So I thought, well, you know, I'll save those. And this one already had a natural opening in it. This one here didn't have an opening, but you could tell where the opening used to be. I mean, it grew over it. And so I just opened it back up there with the hole saw. And anyway, I'm hoping to attract like sparrowhawks. I really like sparrowhawks. They're cool little birds. But then again, it could be a bigger bird that would nest in this. I don't think a red tail would, I think they'd be too big. But a screech owl or something like that would probably find this okay, or a sharp-shined hawk or other small hawks. There's quite a few small hawks around here, and any one of those could do it. But then again, more than likely squirrels will find their way in there, and you know, the birds won't have a chance, but you just never know. I'll show installing these later. Probably show that in tomorrow's vlog on actually installing them. But I'll include the installation in the main video that I'm going to put out on the channel. I'm going to probably put them up down there, you know, back there by the pond that I made. There's 3 big oak trees. I'll probably put one of them up in one of those oak trees. And that way it'll be kind of right there by the water. And the other one, I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
So I've got that to do this afternoon, to hang those things. I like to do my part and create habitat. It's why I make all those brush piles and things like that too. I try to be a good steward of the ground, and try to, like, some people don't agree with shooting animals, but I try to maintain the proper ratio, like, for instance, whenever the coyotes were just way too thick, but now Mother Nature took care of the coyotes. I just saw the first coyote scat yesterday that I've seen in a long time, a couple of years now. They've been gone, and anyway, I guess they're starting to slowly move back into the area. But Mother Nature will take care of it if you don't help it. They'll get diseased and they just die out, and it's not pretty. If you've ever seen, like I said, I really truly wish I would have taken a picture of the last one that I shot. It was so diseased, you could hardly recognize it as a coyote. In fact, it didn't look like a coyote at all. It was just nasty looking. But anyway, that's what happens. Let's see. I made some finds. I'll show you these. Nothing here is remarkable, but I thought you might just find it interesting to see how much stuff is in the ground. And let me explain to you, I've already thrown away 3/4 of what I found. So this much that I'm still going to show you is only like 1/4 of it. So I'm going to start off with this. This is nothing fancy, but I found a bunch of shotgun shells and other pieces of bullets and things. But this particular one, I thought I'd just date it and show you what the date is. This one says Remington UMC. UMC stands for Union Metallic Cartridge Company. That company started in 1867, and it merged with Remington around 1912. The date of this cartridge is between like 1912 and 1914, according to the records. That when you look these things up, they have a way that you can match up the head stamp with their pictures and things. And this one looks like it's between 1912 and 1914. So this thing was probably fired before World War I. This is another little thing. This is not metal, but it's just an incidental find while I was digging for other metal things. But you can see there's a fancy little piece of pottery. It was probably a mixing bowl or something like that. This there's a little design on the outside of it. So it was probably, a mixing bowl from the early 1900s or maybe late 1800s. Then here's just some nondescript piece of steel I found. Just the only thing that's weird about this one is it's got this extra little split in it right there, which I thought was kind of unique, a little different. I don't know what that's off of. This next one, I don't know what it's off of either, but it's unique in the fact that it's a fairly thick piece of steel. It's got a hole through it. It looks like it would be the end of a hinge, but see how thick it gets right there? It gets really thick on the end. It comes out kind of like a ball, It's kind of large there on that end, which I thought was kind of unique. Then this, I know what, or at least I think I know what this is. Do you know what it is? This is the end of a plowshare. The big plow would come down like this, and this is the point of it. So this is the point that's going in the ground, and it obviously broke off. At least that's what I believe it is. I'm pretty sure that's right. Then we find these kinds of things all the time, these little metal rings, which were used on harness and, just mostly for horses and things like that. But it could have been off of something else, but most likely it had something to do with horses with harness or whatever. You can probably tell what this is. I found this right by the spring out there in that field, and it is a wash tub handle. So it probably came off and they just threw it down and said, heck with it. These last two pieces, I don't know what they are. They're a little... This sort of reminds me of something. I just can't think of what the something is. I don't know what that's off of. It's a big, heavy piece of steel. And then this last one is probably the best piece, but it's not much. But it's a big hook. And I was just wondering if anybody would recognize this. Look, it's the hook itself gets kind of pointy there, round. It's got indentions right there on the back side. It's got this big flat piece here. And then it went into something, and then there's a key right here. There's a key slot. So I'm just curious if anybody would recognize that as to what that might be. Because I don't really know. I mean, I've seen stuff that looks pretty similar, but I just can't recall what I've seen it on. Kind of like most of that stuff. I've seen all kinds of stuff that could go to, but I just can't think of anything specific. Well, that's pretty much everything I've got for today, so let's go to the comments. I would say Dottie must be missing today. I can't remember if she said she was going to be gone today or not. I can't remember. Ronald Todd looks like he was the first one in from the West Banks of New Jersey. And Bill Rhodes says, good afternoon. Joe Cool, may your day be filled with all the things that make your heart sing. Well, that'd be pretty cool. Rod Wentler, big howdy, and then Kim Z from Arizona. Then Bruce Ducker says, greetings all from Central Florida. I truly hope everyone is well and warm. Well, we're fairly well. I'm in good shape for the shape I'm in. By the way, I'm wearing the America, land of the fee. You notice that doesn't say free, it says fee. And these, backwards, these are not stars, those are dollar signs. And it's pretty appropriate. So did you watch the Windows video? If you haven't, you better watch it. There's a link in the description. Bill Mumbo's there, says, hi, you folks, and he's smiling all around there. Lady Cajun, hello from Southwest Louisiana, I guess it is. Michael 2X, hi, hey, Rosenmeister, thank you for being here. Wayne Blitz says, good afternoon, Jerry and friends, hope all is well. Everyone keep it safe. William McCormick, greetings north of Florida, 72, 85% rain. David Tharp, howdy everybody. Truth is stranger than fiction. That's because fiction is obligated to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. Man, I didn't even... See, I learned something here every single day because I didn't know there were any rules on that. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Gino Hitch says, hi, Jerry and friends. This is my second attempt at texting. The first one wouldn't send. It's 38 here in Monroe today. Let's see. And speaking of Monroe, that's Ohio. The boys from Ohio are going to be here. My grandsons are going to be here this weekend, I believe. That'll be fun. I'm going to try to get the boys to go out with me antler hunting and look for antler sheds. The deer, in case you don't know, most people do know, I think, but deer shed their antlers every single year, and they grow new ones. And so we're going to go out looking for the antlers that they drop on the ground. And I did find one yesterday, but I left it laying so that the boys, I'm going to use that one as my, let the boys kind of warm up on that one. I'll tell them it's out there. I'm not going to fake them out like it's like they found it for real, but I am going to let them find it so that they kind of get an idea of what they look like. Because on the ground, they don't necessarily always look like what you think they're going to look like. Ronald Todd, you have to have a pretty good amount of clay in the ground to stop the old pond from leaking. The other pond looks like they're lower elevation. Well, what the problem, I believe, is with this pond, I don't know this, but I bet you that whoever built it didn't know what they were doing and didn't key it. you have to key a pond to make a pond hold water. If you don't know what that means, you dig a ditch first. Where the dam is going to go, you actually dig a ditch deeper than the bottom of the pond. And then you fill that ditch with clay and you keep mounding it up all the way to the top. And if you don't do that, the water will just seep through the dam. If in other words, if you just pile the dirt on top of the ground and don't dig that key, it ain't going to hold. Guess how I know that? When I was a kid, I'm talking like I was like 18, I tried to dig a small pond, and it wouldn't hold water. My dad says, "Did you key it?" I go, "Key it?" He goes, "You got to key a pond. It won't hold water unless you key them." I go, oh, okay. Well, every pond I've dug since then, I've keyed. So they've all held since then. So there you go. There's your 3/4 of your problem right there. B.H. Ringer, good afternoon, Jerry from Nova Scotia, Canada. Bill Webb, see, you didn't even know you were going to learn about how to dig a pond, did you? But see, that's just extra stuff you get for free on this channel. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. C. Wilscheck, hello all. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, what was the dogs barking at the end of that video? Somebody pulled in a side-by-side. It looked like Sue's. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was a Kawasaki, but it turned around and left. And then I looked to my left, and Sue's Kawasaki was sitting to my left. So I know it wasn't Sue. So I don't know who it was. Somebody just pulled in and turned around. Bill Mumbo, thumbs up, folks. Yep, if you would do that, that sure does help. Empress John says, hook for Cub tractor drawbar slot for iron wedge. Okay. Cub tractor? I doubt they had a Cub tractor. And this thing was, all of this iron, by the way, every bit of it was at least 6 inches down, and some of it was 10 inches down or more. I'm fairly sure you're right on the tractor part, but I can't imagine a Cub tractor. I just don't see that happening back here. Could be, I guess. Anything's possible. But anyway, it's a unique hook. I don't know. I always wish I could use stuff like this and put it back into service, but I can't think of a way to really utilize it much. I mean, there's always something I'll use it for. I throw all this kind of stuff, that anything that's got any kind of potential use down the road, I throw it in a pile, and sometimes I pull it out and use it. David Tharp says, I'm giving up eating chocolate for a month. Sorry, I forgot the punctuation. I'm giving up eating chocolate for a month. I got that one. Yeah, that's about the way I feel, because I am on the strictest diet that a person could be on, I think, and I'm still not losing any weight. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me nuts. I'm serious. You think I'm kidding when I say this, but I think you could put me out in the desert with just water, nothing but water. Just give me water. And when you pick me up in a month, I'm pretty sure I will only have lost maybe 1 or 2 pounds. It's nuts. It's just nuts. Let's see. Rod Wentler, could the hook be a tie down for something? Yeah, I don't know. What I think's the unusual part of this to me, I see it looks like there may be a slot all the way through it. See that there's a slot on that side and there's a slot on that side. That slot might go all the way through. I thought that was a half moon key is what I thought it was. But I don't know. I didn't dig this slot out. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I kind of wish I knew. I'm sure it goes to some really old farm-type machinery. I mean, and tractors, very likely, like he said, it's probably a tractor, but, yeah, I don't know. Well, what's weird, too, is that, like, if there's something that goes through there, and this is a shelf, well, this shelf would hit here. So, I mean, like, it's almost going to be in something like that, because this is at about the same height as that shelf. I don't know, it's a unique hook, that's for sure. It's not your norm. It had a specific purpose, just like so did that, but I still don't know what that is either. That really does remind me of something. It's hand forged, by the way. This is. You can tell it's got a seam right in there where it's been smashed together. I don't know. Let's see. Ronald Todd, could the last piece of the recently found be a part of a gate hinge? Could the last piece of the recently be a part of a gate hinge? Well, are you talking about this piece maybe, I guess? Or I don't know. Or maybe this one? I don't know. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but none of them really put me to mind of a gate hinge, but they could be, possibly. This one is the one that reminds me most of a gate hinge, but then again, it gets really fat on that end, which is weird. So I have a feeling this went to some piece of machinery also. You know, probably horse-drawn type machinery, in fact. Most of this stuff is going to be late 1800s, early 1900s. And when I say early 1900s, I'm talking like before 1920. I'm pretty sure nothing here that we found is after 1920. Let's see. David Tharp says, thumbs up, everybody. And then Michael 2X says, is the dump truck all fixed up? Not really. It's running rough. I mean, it's physically all together and everything, but it's running kind of rough. In fact, that's a good project, too. I might try to do something with that while the boys are here because they like the dump truck, especially Trinian. He really thinks he's kind of already laid claim to the dump truck. Trinian has the older one. He thinks that's a cool truck. Mike Bennett Z. Okay. So you're sleeping on me, huh? Is that what it is? Bill Webb. When we were kids and would find something like that, my pawpaw Bradford would always say, it's off an airplane because it sure ain't on one. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Let's see. Empress John, I've got one on my Cub, maybe for another tractor drawbar. Okay. Well, that could be it. I mean, that might be what it is. It could definitely be for a tractor drawbar, I guess. I think the weird thing about it when I'm looking at it is, if this goes through a hole and butts up to something solid, well, then it's going to basically close off the hook. You know, I mean, like, because you can't have the hole right on the very edge of the whatever this is going through. Otherwise, the hook, and so therefore, whenever you push this through, you're basically going to close off the hook. I mean, like, this would be paper thin because this is right on the edge of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Just it had a specific purpose. It was very, very specific for something. I don't know what it is. Don Nice, Jerry, I think it's a light bracket for a wagon on car. I think it's a light bracket for a wagons on car. A light bracket. Maybe this? I don't know which one you're talking about there. A light bracket. Okay. Nice green shirt. Well, good. I'm glad you like it. Let's see. Ronald Todd. YouTube police are blocking our comments again. That's weird. Empress John. Drive wedge from opposite end. Drive wedge from opposite end. This wedge through here, maybe? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. Got me. I don't know. I just know it's heavy too. That's a solid piece of steel. This was, I don't think this was hand forged. I think this was cast in something, mainly because of these impressions there. I feel like it was cast, not forged. But it's pretty old either way. This, I'm 99% sure, was forged. This rest of this, I kind of think this was forged too because of the split here. And I don't know about the rest of this. I don't know. I kind of think this hook, this loop was probably forged. And this may have been too. It's hard to say. This I kind of think was forged. And this, I don't know how they made those plows, but I assume forged on that too. So I don't know. It's all old. I know that for sure. It's real old. I don't think anything there is newer than 1920, and I don't even think they're that new. I think they're older than that. Well, anyway, guys, I think that's it for today. Thank you for your ideas. I still I kind of get most of them there, but still haven't really nailed anything down that makes real obvious sense. Rod Wentler, can Grok tell you what it is? That's a good idea. Might do a search, a photo search in Google and Grok, both, and see. That's an idea. This one's the most specific piece here. I mean, you can tell this obviously did something. It was a functional piece, but I don't know. I'm gonna try that. I'll try a search. If I find anything on it, I'll show you in tomorrow's vlog. Y'all take care. We will see you tomorrow with something else.